Welcome to the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast, where we talk all things Panther City Lacrosse Club. Now here are your hosts, Nicholas and Andy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Cowtown Cats, where we talk everything Panther City Lacrosse Club. I guess you can consider this our inaugural episode. But I'm Nicholas. I'm here with Andy.
Hi, welcome to this momentous occasion.
Momentous, yes, momentous. But yeah, we are a podcast about everything with Panther City Lacrosse. I live in the DFW area. Andy does as well, and so this is something that I had in mind for a while, and then Andy came in, and it's been fun getting this going, to be honest. But yeah, speaking of getting things going, I guess our first episode, I kind of wanted to talk about kind of why we're here. Try to explain kind of what brought us to not only lacrosse, but Panther City as well. And so, I mean, for me, especially with lacrosse, I mean, I had known about lacrosse. I wasn't really exposed to it very much growing up, but especially because I grew up in Colorado. I was born in Texas, but grew up in Colorado for a short time, and they really didn't highlight lacrosse as much there. I knew about it. I just didn't know very much about it, to be honest. And then the longer I was there, I kind of learned more, and then that was my kind of interest in it to start with. Was here's something that's similar to hockey, but it's different. And I like sports in general, and I like competition. But for me, I mean, it was definitely a sport that was unique, and I like competitive sports. What can I say? I mean, what about for you, Andy? I mean, what kind of got you started into lacrosse in general?
So I had a little bit more exposure. I was probably vaguely familiar, maybe mostly unfamiliar with it up through middle school. And then freshman year, we were at, I think it was just like the fishbowl, the freshman orientation thing. One of my close buddies at the time was like, "Hey, we should play lacrosse." I was like, "Wait, what?" And so we went over to the table and I saw like, "Oh, wow, they actually have a lacrosse team here. Sure, I'll sign up. Like, this is my good buddy from middle school. I want to stay close with him. And this seems like a fun sport." So we went ahead and signed up, and we were on the JV team at our high school, as most freshmen would be. And it's kind of funny because that friend ended up dropping out midway through the I guess at the between the fall and spring semesters, just because he got too busy with other stuff, but
Oh man.
marching band or whatever. But me, I stuck with it through the entire season and really enjoyed learning the sport. I hadn't really played a contact sport before, so part of me being a young aggressive kid, just like, oh wow, I can hit other people in this, and but there's still precision and accuracy involved with having to figure out how to hold a stick, catch a lacrosse ball, cradle the stick without having the ball just come out. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I was I got pretty involved in other extracurriculars after my freshman year, so ended up only playing that 1 year, but I still kept up with my teammates over the years, tried to keep track of how the team was doing. And fast forward many years later to my working career in DFW, after maybe 12 years of living here, 12 or 13. Sometime, I want to say it was early this season, I obviously, Nick, you and I are buddies on social media and stuff, and I got this notification of this lacrosse team that Nick liked, and I saw like Panther City Lacrosse Club. What is this? And then I saw like, oh wow, this is a professional lacrosse team located in Fort Worth. And I was also extra fascinated because back in high school I was playing field lacrosse, which is outdoors
Hmm.
and doesn't have the fast-paced feel that box lacrosse does, and so that got me intrigued even more. And so
Yeah.
eventually, I probably found out about it. The season had already started, but yeah, I went to a game myself, really enjoyed it, and then Nick and myself and a few of our other friends went to another one, and so yeah, since then I've been hooked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, leading into kind of why Panther City, I mean, I had known about the Colorado Mammoth, the professional box lacrosse team up in Colorado. I had seen some of their games on TV. I had obviously people had talked about them. I never actually sat down and watched a full game when I lived up there, but yeah, I guess for me, I unfortunately I have this habit with watching sports, and obviously I like competitiveness of sports, but whenever I watch sports, I always get hooked to like the underdog teams,
Mm,
and
right.
it always ends up being the teams that start new because obviously they have low expectations, people don't expect them to do well, and then if they actually do well, it's this like whole big thing. And I've always just been like, yeah, underdog mentality, like, hey, I'm gonna root for them because when it does happen, I mean, you're talking to a guy unfortunately who his professional football team is Houston Texans, which have low expectations every year. I mean, I got hooked onto the Vegas Knights when they came into the NHL, which they did really well their first season, made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But it was always just kind of this mentality of like new things and underdog. And it was right after, unfortunately, it was right after 2020 happened. And my friend James had posted something about this new team coming to Fort Worth. I was like, what the heck? And so I looked into it and I was like, oh yeah, lacrosse. I know about them. I know Colorado and all that. And they're like, yeah, a new professional team in Fort Worth. And so I like did some research into it. I actually like signed up for their email list. They sent out this invitation that was like, hey, inaugural season, and we want you out there, and obviously pushing for like season tickets and stuff like that. And so me and my now fiance Taylor, we went to like this. It was almost like a little get together that they had posted before the season started,
Mm,
and
nice.
just talking about the team, and like the owner was there and he was talking about why bringing it to Fort Worth and why he's starting this, and his reasoning was really sound. I'll never forget it. He's like, Fort Worth is one of the top markets in the US that doesn't have a professional team. And he's like, with Dickies Arena opening up, this brand new space, we wanted to take advantage of it. And bringing in a professional team like lacrosse, I mean, it definitely puts it on the map, not only for, Fort Worth's sake, but for sports. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure the National Lacrosse League did not know where Fort Worth was before there was a team there.
Yeah,
They,
I'm pretty
I
sure.
I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure few of the players did either.
right, right. Well, and that's, the more they've come down here now, they obviously know the area better now. But
Hmm.
they know Dallas. It's just like anything else. You hear Dallas, and you're like, oh yeah, I know where Dallas is. But then you say Fort Worth or something like that, you're like, I have no idea where that's at. But yeah, it piqued my interest, and we went and signed up for some games. We went to a few games, and it was just like the energy, the atmosphere, the newness of everything. It kind of hooked me in, unfortunately. And but
Nice.
I'm really grateful because it got me kind of excited for something that I didn't know I could be excited for, to be honest. And it was really fun. I know I enjoyed all my times going to the games. I mean, you said you went to a few games. What I mean, I guess my first question leading into kind of the first season that they were there, what was your first impressions, especially when you went to the game, as far as like the atmosphere, obviously the change from field lacrosse to box lacrosse. I mean, I know you touched on that a little bit, but what were your thoughts when you went to especially that first game you went to?
Well, first off, you know, the skill level was a lot higher than what I was accustomed to.
A
Probably because,
little bit better
yeah,
than high school.
yeah, definitely a little bit better than high school and the few college games I had seen live or in person over the years. And the aspect of it being box lacrosse, I think it brought more of that a more hockey-esque physical element
Mhm.
than field lacrosse would have in terms of like checking other players and not necessarily like hitting them harder, but just kind of being able to do that within a confined space. And then also it just helped with the pace. Like if you lost the ball out of bounds, I remember when we played, we'd have to go pretty much track it down unless it was a lost cause. Whereas here, with the playing field being a confined environment, it just makes for faster place gameplay overall. And let's see, it does. You know, I'm a huge basketball fan
Mhm.
of professional basketball, and so the little things like having the being able to have crowd chants and everything, and being able to hear everyone's interactions,
Right.
seeing all of that.
Well, and
That
something that makes, box lacrosse unique in itself is the addition of a shot clock.
right,
And
yes, that is huge.
I didn't even know that was a part of the game again until we met the owner at that first night. He was talking about how it makes it unique and kind of, a mixture of, you have these hockey aspects here, and then you have your kind of basketball aspects with a shot clock. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, because like you said, it makes for like a faster paced game.
Yes, absolutely. And then there's I believe there's a lot less players on the field than in field lacrosse as well. So when you have something like transition opportunities or a fast break come along, it does really remind me of what I really enjoy watching about basketball.
Hmm.
Just seeing like three players just going at a goalie and seeing if he can hold his own or whether they'll get a shot off. Just that adrenaline rush of seeing that. That
Right.
was
Well,
really
and
enjoyable.
yeah, that was the same for me. Just now again, I'm not as big as a basketball fan as you are, but I've paid more attention probably to hockey than I have with basketball. So again,
Hmm.
that same kind of breakaway action, that breakaway
Right,
feel where yeah, the ball gets loose, and next thing you know, you got one guy going against the goalie, and it's like, well, what's going to happen? And so yeah,
right.
that kind of rush of what the game and just the physical nature of the game too. I mean, I guess I didn't know how physical they were going to be until like I was physically there watching. But I mean, with those sticks, they are like swinging away
Yeah.
and just like beating each other up with it.
Absolutely.
Now, is that something that, again, coming from field lacrosse, is that something you ran into the physicalness that so much there because again, it's a more wide open field, or is it just the fact that it's a little bit more condensed and a smaller field? Does that add a little bit more of that aspect in there, you feel?
I'd say it's various things like the smaller field, the confined environment. Obviously, grown men playing professional lacrosse probably have a few more muscles than me and my classmates had at
Right.
the time. Um, yeah, I know. I remember getting caught with, I think, hacking another player too much and getting a 2-minute penalty back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and I will say, in addition to like the exposure that the NLL got last year, because I really looked into it, and they really looked for growing their brand, and obviously that meant bringing in more teams, but also growing their brand so more people can see their product, and that's why they signed on exclusively, with ESPN. ESPN's Plus is streaming all their games. They'll have games every week to, show on ESPN2 or ESPN News. And so they're getting that exposure out, but in turn, it's kind of made for a bigger exposure to lacrosse. I mean, I remember going out for dinner a couple months ago and they were showing field lacrosse playoffs on
Wow.
ESPN. And I was like, okay, so it's for me, it's like the aspect of the growing sport and the growing team in Panther City is just all exciting for me. So,
Well,
uh,
even after the season finale, unfortunately they lost, but
mhm.
afterwards, just how approachable the players were. Like we were going up, chatting to them about the season. Like if me, I was talking about the differences between field and box, like we're doing now. It's just everyone was really friendly and approachable. It's
Yeah,
just you don't really get that same level I don't know what the word would be, whether kind of a community feel with
Hmm.
this team that we're all kind of in this together.
Right. Well, and so just sharing more experiences from last year. So we were able to go to I can't remember exactly how many. I think it was 6 home games by the time the end of the season. But one
Okay.
of the home games was their first home
Hmm.
win, and again, you feel that like community togetherness because when they won they actually like went around the field and like tapped the glass with everybody. All the fans were down there
Nice.
celebrating with them, and yeah, it just kind of made, and like you said, it made for a more personable feel for everything. It's like this isn't just a professional team, it's our team. And I hope that continues into the future. They actually just had a town hall a couple weeks ago. I I unfortunately missed it. I was working, and but even stuff like that where they can get out into the community more. I know they're doing a lot more community outreach stuff this year, and it's really good for the team. I mean, we're talking about a team that just started with each other last year,
Hmm.
and
Right.
as the year went on, it just kind of grew into itself, not only with the team itself, but just with us. And
Hmm.
so, but yeah, I mean, being there for the first win was amazing. Like you said, unfortunately, they did lose at the end of the year, but even then, it was fun. It was electric. It was even the coach. I mean, like, you can't say enough. He's just
Yeah, Tracy's
so
a fun guy.
he's just so yeah he's just so like a normal guy. You go up and talk to him, he's just like, yeah, whatever, I'll hang out with you for a bit.
Hmm.
But
Right. And speaking to you mentioned kind of the underdog mentality. I do love the fact that there is a professional lacrosse team down here in Texas and in Fort Worth, because traditionally so many of the elite schools and universities and professional teams are all kind of up further north in the
mhm.
Northeast or in Canada and whatnot. So, it's cool that we got a team down here as well as, Georgia and Colorado, but it's just the thought that us two as fans, or who knows, like community leaders or whatever
Right,
whatever
right.
you want to say, can be a part of helping grow the sport of lacrosse down here.
Well, and
It's
yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
it's growing the notoriety of it. I mean, you mentioned Georgia and Colorado. I mean, that's what the NLL is doing this year. With the addition of Las Vegas coming in now. It's
Right.
it's they're hitting markets that maybe aren't. Las Vegas obviously is a popular market, but some of the other markets, you wouldn't even think of. Buffalo has a team. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
you don't think of Buffalo as a lacrosse town, but I guess being up there closer to Canada, because that's really, it's like hockey. That's really where it thrives is Canada, but they're
Hmm.
starting to reach down south more. So not to stay on the past and the current now, but kind of looking towards the future, looking towards this season. Spoiler alert for anybody listening to this: we are now season ticket holders. We will be at every home game. We will be yelling. We'll be
Indeed.
throwing. Well, okay, we won't be throwing stuff, but
Within reason.
within reason, within reason. I mean, not we're not right next to the glass, so we can't throw it over. But we are going to be season ticket holders for this next one, and it's kind of exciting because again, like you said, it was last year was kind of a growing, and this year it's kind of like, hey, we're here to support you, and so what are your, not necessarily expectations for the team, but what are your expectations for the experience for this year?
I'm expecting to see more fans in the stand, what with having one season under their belt, getting that kind of grassroots word of mouth exposure for not just Fort Worth but DFW as a whole. I'm expecting. I I'm hopeful that they'll continue on the later season success that they had last year, where they ran off that win streak that put them back in the thick of the playoff hunt. Hopefully, they can get off to a better start this year, so they're not playing catch up throughout the season. But yeah, I've got a good feeling.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, more fans in the stands. I mean, I think they are definitely going to reach that this year. Uh, Quick note on one of last year's games, they did have a college night. Best idea they ever had. They gave discounted tickets
Nice.
to all the local colleges, and it was just a bunch of crazy college kids going crazy for lacrosse, and it was amazing. So I hope they do that again this year. But yeah, more fans, but also yeah, just higher expectations for the team in itself, and just
Right.
watching it, again, watching it happen before us, being like, hey, we're here with you, and we're here to see you get better, and we're hoping everything gets better this year, and they're on track for it, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, they're on the right path. Absolutely.
Right, right. Well, cool. Well, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this first episode, but obviously in future episodes, if you guys listen to us, we are going to be talking about upcoming games. We're going to be talking about game reviews and game breakdowns, and talk about just kind of what happened every week if we can. But yeah, I mean, first of all, again, thank you for joining me on this first episode of Cowtown Cats, and hopefully this is something we'll continue to do into going into this season.
Yep. Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.